get up meetings, where do we find them? People asking. Well, this is our official site. We have actually 3, not 1, not 2, but 3. Meetup, and there is another one. But this one is where we put resources. So when you go to resources, actually, the resources is the slide deck. So for example, the slides that I'm going to go through, they are already uploaded. But the recordings are where? You're going to go to the home page, and right here at the very beginning, very top, with big red letters, we are saying that the recordings actually can be found here. So if you go there, how many do we have so far since we started this virtual thing? About 4, actually, 4 recordings. That's going to be our 5th recording tonight. I'm gonna post it tonight, so it's going to be there. Cool. Okay, going back to the slides. If you haven't registered, I ask how many consent. Okay, very nice. You guys consent. Is anybody new? New to this group? Anyone? Math. Welcome. Anybody else?
This is Zach here. I'm new to as well.
Sati is new.
This is John. I'm new.
Got you. We've got some new people. Well, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate that. I would encourage you, now that I mentioned about our official site, atlantabipass.org. I would encourage you to associate yourself to our group when you go to PASS, so you can actually get invitations for our meetings. We usually meet on the first Monday of the month, unless it falls on a holiday. So the next one is going to be November 2nd. Before coming to our meetings, that was important when we used to meet on-site at the Microsoft office in Alpharetta. It was important for us to plan food and drinks. So, but still, I would like to know how many people actually are planning to attend the meeting. So when you go to that homepage on the top right side, there is something, a section called RSVP. So before the next meeting, make sure that you tell us that you're going to be attending. This is a little bit tricky section here because it's based on cookies. So the tip here, I think I have it somewhere right here in this small text here, that you should probably open the browser in incognito mode so you can confirm your attendance, because it's going to remember your settings, and the next time it won't let you actually submit the survey. Cool. So we've got that. What else? Spread the word. If you like what you're getting, I think this is an awesome group, not because I started it, but because the value it brings to the community. So spread the word. I already mentioned about the recordings. Get involved. Sponsors. Right now, the situation took care of it, but when the things start again, we will appreciate. We're kind of self-reliant. So when it comes to buying food and drinks, we rely on sponsors. If you want to present, let me know. Always looking for good speakers. A little donation thing going on. So if we don't have a sponsors when we start again, we can actually use the donations. Doesn't matter how small. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about, or actually ask you, is the jobs. Usually what we do on every meeting, we kind of ask the audience, are there any openings for BI related openings? So if your company is looking for BI talent, if you have a job to advertise, now is the time. And I'm going to be the first one, actually, because I do have one. A client of mine is looking for a BI developer for organizational BI. So you're going to be pretty much on the latest and greatest, Synapse, Power BI, um, semantic modeling. On the ETL, it will be great if you have experience with Azure Data Factory. If you don't, that'll be awesome. I think the salary is around 100K. They're here in Atlanta. Right now, of course, they're working virtually. So if you are interested, if you're looking for a change, let me know. But the job opening is for senior BI developers, so they will want you to have some experience with all of these technologies. Anybody else looking for BI talent? Microsoft BI talent. Speak now. Let's see. Anybody?
Hey, my company is looking as well for a BI kind of a data engineer or a lead data engineer role. So mainly on Azure and ETL focused. So if you have anyone worked on Databricks and Azure Databricks and have some knowledge on Power BI, will be able to be a good fit for the role. So if you want to reach out to me, my name is Praveen Chakrapani. I can put my email ID on the conversation. So if you
Please.
have any openings, reach me out.
So this opening, is that for Lucient, the link that you posted, or that's a different one? Oh, that's Paco. Did you post that one?
I did, yes. So we're looking for a Power BI architect. It's about consulting. We are a consulting firm. So if you are a Power BI architect or senior developer, here is a link for the job offer.
Okay. So that link on the Lucient, that used to be Solid Q. You guys kind of rebranded now. You actually Lucient.
Correct. I have a slide when I start my presentation, so I'll show it to everyone.
Got you. And I'm sorry, the previous person who had the job offering, if you can put a link and maybe your name for contact. I put
Yes,
my
I will. Yes, I will update the link shortly, and I will put the contact email as well. This is for Amdocs company in Alpharetta.
Alpharetta. Nice. Cool. Anybody else? So far, 3 openings, and there's a question. What would it take to become a Power BI developer? Well, that's a good one. It will take some effort. That much I can say, right? So you've got to you've got to read books. You got to get trained. The most important thing is to have a project. Just like typical. How do I get started? How do I become Power BI developer? And it really depends on how far you want to go with Power BI. There's a lot of stuff in there. But on the self-service BI side of things, I mean, there are wonderful books out there, self-paced. Microsoft also organizes trainings that you can attend for free called Dashboards in a Day. At the end, though, the most important, certification. So there is just came actually a few months ago. There is actually Power BI certification. Highly recommend that. So you can put that on your resume. Yep. Cool. Anybody else as far as jobs? Not? We're gonna move on. All right, events. Microsoft Ignite actually already passed. It was like 2 weeks ago. But the reason why I still have it here is because all the sessions are available online. So there are some pretty cool sessions about what's coming up in Power BI with demos and all that. Highly recommend you take a look. Keynotes also there, It was all virtual event and all sessions are available. The next event is going to be next month in November 10th to 30th for PASS Summit. This is the organization that we are affiliated with, among other organizations, but that's the one that we were affiliated since the very beginning. So every year they have an event called PASS Summit. This one is going to be a digital event. It's not going to be complimentary, but there is a little discount for our members. So take a look at that one as well. News. A lot
Hey,
of this stuff.
Theo, and one more thing that I want to mention is
Yep.
there's another conference, a big data conference that's happening in India called Data Platform Summit. So if anybody is interested, send them details. That has a lot of content on SQL Server, deep Power BI, and all those stuff too. So
I assume that's a virtual, isn't it?
yes, it is virtual. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So are you looking for speakers or attendees or
Attendees, yeah.
attendees?
It's
Okay.
also a paid conference, but it's like really, next to nothing almost. So very good information there.
Sounds good. Maybe you can put the link in the chat window.
Yeah, I will.
Got it. Okay, what else we've got here? Okay, so a lot of these announcements, typically I want to just mention some of the ones that caught my attention since the last time we met, which was in September. A lot of those came from Microsoft Ignite, and I'm probably going to show a couple of them that I personally find interesting. But on the empowering every individual theme, there is something called smart narratives. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that. A new visual is coming up called anomaly detection. So the idea here is that if you have a line chart and there are some ups and downs, this visual will kind of automatically bring your attention to those things. Another machine learning technology incorporated in that visual. HoloLens, cool things that, happening in that area as well, virtual reality with Power BI, and there was a demo on Ignite. On the next theme, empowering every team, we have Power BI app in Microsoft Teams. So there is integration going on between Power BI and Microsoft Teams. I'm going to show you a little bit of that in a moment. Not all features in Microsoft, as far as this integration, are available yet. So for example, there's going to be a dataset discovery, and there's going to be much better integration coming up soon. Excel, there are some interesting stuff happening on there. I'm going to show you a little bit of a demo just to understand there is another integration scenario, Excel with Power BI. And then on the Empower Every Organization section, we have new licensing actually that came out. So now we have premium per user licensing. Previously it was just per user or premium. Now I've got the hybrid. So that will be for small organizations that cannot afford premium, but they still want to have premium features in Power BI. So cost, how much this is going to cost hasn't been disclosed yet. So wait for more information to come. But that's the idea. Premium now actually could be made affordable for small organizations. And then another thing that I found personally interesting is that currently, if you own premium, you know that you kind of boxed into specific sizes. We call them nodes, starting with P1, P2, and so forth. So far, this capacity was fixed for you. You've got certain amount of memory, certain number of vCores, and then if you are not happy, if you want more, then you have to go to the next one, right? So it wasn't very flexible. I personally would like, in some point of time, to see Power BI become serverless and scaling up and down on demand, like Azure SQL Database can do. But right now, we are not there. What actually came from Ignite is that very soon you will have the option to add cores on demand. So the idea here is that, let's say the CPU utilization is getting high. CPU, by the way, is one of the first things to go out for Power BI or analysis services, especially if you have a lot of users. So when that happens, you can now say, well, I want to add more cores. I want to let Power BI add additional CPU to my premium capacity so that I can scale up. And then when that, increase or that peak disappears, then I want to scale down back to the base plan. So maybe I can start with P1, add cores on demand. The peak is down, the cores go down back to P1, right? So that's the idea. Pricing, TBD. We don't have it yet. Power BI Performance Accelerator for Azure Synapse Analytics. So this is for customers who are actually using Power BI against Azure Synapse, previously known Azure SQL Data Warehouse. What's going on there? Well, it looks like Synapse is building some smarts. So when it gets queries from Power BI, it figures out which one are the most common, and it creates, I think, views behind the scenes to speed up these queries. I think that was the gist of it. I don't know about the details. In Power Query, we're going to get a diagram view to show us the dependencies in more details, deployment pipelines, which is the mechanism in Power BI to get from development test to QA, became generally available. So that means everybody now can use it. Data source impact analysis. I didn't see anything new there. Maybe I'm not looking at the right place. Didn't have much time to play recently with Power BI. But as you know, and I'm showing a little demo here, as you know, when you go to a workspace in Power BI, there are two views. You know, this is the standard view, the list view, but also there is a lineage view that allows you to view the relationship between the data sources, reports, dashboards. So the idea here is that when you click on a data source, it's going to show you impact across workspaces. Like, for example, let's say I want to make a change. I want to know how many reports potentially can be impacted. But I think we're having this for a while, so I'm not sure what's new here. Maybe it hasn't come yet. So, you know, keep, I guess at some point, maybe we'll get more features. And the final thing is the Microsoft Information Protection sensitivity labels. Not many organizations know about this, but in Office 365, we have something called information protection. So the idea is that if I have a document like Excel or Word document, I want to notify people if this is, for example, highly confidential information. Not only this, but if this file gets in the hand of users outside my organization, I don't want to allow them to open it at all. So this is all done in Office 365. So Power BI integrates with that. And you can actually, if you have sensitivity labels in Office 365, your reports you can mark your reports and dashboards with these labels. And then what happens when users export them to PDF or Excel, then these labels actually travel with the file to give you more better security over your data. So, okay, I'm gonna, as I mentioned, show a couple of those additional things a little bit later on. I just want to say that this meeting, we've got Paco again from SolidQ, now called Lucient. Paco is going to tell us about this big change. We're going to talk about AI, ML, Power BI. And the next meeting, as I mentioned, is going to be in November 2nd. That's going to be on the subject of performance with Power BI, how to overcome performance issues. And a consulting company called CCG is going to do it. Any questions? All right, show you a little bit of this. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is smart narratives. So those of you who have followed Power BI for a while, they know that there were custom visuals to do narratives in Power BI. The idea is that, let's say I have an ugly report like the one that I put here, and I would like to do what? I would like to tell the users what that data is, because users could be, you know, you never know what kind of user you're going to be looking at that report. Some of them prefer data to be described in English or whatever language you speak, right? Instead of trying to analyze it on their own. So previously we have to use, there is a narrative science visual, and I think there is another one as a custom visual, but now this is actually built in Power BI. So again, here, this is machine learning. More and more machine learning features actually get into Power BI. And that visual that I mentioned, it's called Smart Narrative. It's right here. If you don't see it, make sure you enable it from the preview features in the Power BI desktop options. But the way it works is very simple. I right-click one of the visuals that I want to explain. And what do? I say summarize. So I summarize it. And then it's going to write a narrative behind that visual. It's going to tell me what's going on here. Reseller sales amount trended up, resulting in 670% increase between July 1st and December. So this is a cool information. But what I find it even cooler is that unlike other narrative visuals, you can actually customize it. So these things that are highlighted in blue, those are essentially, think of them as variables that you can customize and you can add your own. So for example, if I want to say, and the total revenue was, all I have to do is to click this value field to create a new value. And now I can go and ask a natural question. So here we have a measure called, it's not actually named very appropriately. Should be something more user-friendly. But I can say reseller sales amount, and then I can keep on saying, keep on typing my question, just like when you use Q&A. And it tries to understand what I'm asking. And when I save it, when I created that visual, it's going to actually put this placeholder in here. So I actually have a sentence. I can intermix my sentence with values that I create like this. And also I can see all of these values generated by Power BI. I can take a look and see what kind of question is being asked and what is the scope for each one of those variables. So take a look at that. That was the narratives visual that is now going to be included natively in Power BI. And I think what will happen if I don't select the visual, if I just go and drag it and drop it, it's going to try to look for the entire page. And it's going to write a bunch of narratives for every visual on the page. There is some background noise. If you guys not about to ask a question, maybe you can kind of mute yourself. I'll be awesome. So that was the smart narratives. Anomaly detection, the visual is not there yet. It's going to come soon. Teams integration. So Teams integration actually works on a several level. And again, this is going to get better. But right now, what we have is that, let's say the user goes to a report. Switch back to the list view. And here's the report. And they view it. But now they want to share it. And they want to bring that report in the context of a Teams, Microsoft Teams channel. So it's available conveniently, it's available there. So they can do this in a couple of ways. The first one, they can chat. They can chat about this report. Chat is going to generate a link for the report and is going to ask you what channel or team you want to post this. So participants in that team or channel, they're going to get a chat with that link. Go and look at my report, basically. The second thing, which is even cooler, it actually happens inside Microsoft Teams. So let me see if I can demonstrate now that I'm in Teams. So the idea here is that I want my report actually to be embedded inside my channel. So how do I do that? So for example, when actually participants in my channel click on that link, they view this report inside the channel. The report is still there in Power BI, we're just embedding it. So how do we do that? We click this plus sign. Teams is a great technology. I really like it. And one way you can extend it is with apps. So here we have a Power BI app. And what do? This should be familiar to you. We get workspaces. Then you go and choose your report. You save it. And now it becomes a tab in the Teams channel. So we've got team integration going on. What about Excel? Do we have something new in there? Well, now that we have the, I'm not sure, those of you who are following Power BI for a while, you know that there used to be a publisher for Excel. So we have actually a lot of integration options with Excel. We had something called Analyze in Excel, still there. Then we had an Excel add-in called Publisher, which is now deprecated. I thought it's pretty cool, but it's gone. Microsoft doesn't support it anymore. So instead of that, we have a convenient way to generate a pivot table from Excel, from a Power BI data set. So the scenario here, what this means for you is that maybe you have a finance user who loves Excel. They live and die in Excel, right? So they want to get the data in Excel. So maybe you created a shared, maybe certified data set in Power BI. So all they have to do is to go to the insert menu, pivot table, and then now we have a new option called from Power BI. And you don't have to do anything. If you get the latest version of Excel, you're automatically going to get that option. So we get that. And a new pane pops on the right side of Excel. And now it's going to go and scan all the data sets I have permissions to. You're going to show me which one is certified, which one are promoted. And from there, you know what to do, right? I mean, you just select the data set. Let's say, Venture Diet. Since we're on the Diet subject area, Diet final report. I'm gonna click on it. And from that point is going to be pivot table connected to that data set. So I can go in Excel and I can start slicing and dicing. And the cool thing is that drill through also works, right? So if I want to see the transactions behind this aggregated amount, all I have to do is double click. And we've got default drill through going on in Excel, just like when you connect to analysis services. So that's pretty cool. Another feature that is coming up is called certified data set. So let's say in Power BI, you have a certified data set called customer. So you can actually mark it and Excel is going to discover it. So this one actually came from Power BI. So let's say you have a list of customers and that certified data set. And then what you can do in Excel, I haven't actually tested this recently, but you can start putting the names of your customers like Theo, Lachev, other customers here. And then I can go and select a bunch of them and I can say, I want to map them to this certified customer data set. So I map them. So how is that cool? Well, it's cool because if it finds a value, a corresponding name in that certified data set, I can actually click on now on that customer, and that's going to show me the other fields from that data set for that customer. So think of it like a lookup that I'm creating here. Right now, I'm not showing me anything because Theo Lachev doesn't exist in that customer data set, but that's the idea. So these data types here, you can extend them with, okay, it's just to show actually how this works. So let's say I have a stock. So because one of the data types is stock, I can go here, I can say, this is a stock. All right, so now it tries to find a corresponding value. It says, okay, maybe this is the value. And as you can see now, it tells me the details of that stock. All I have to do is just to click it. The same thing here. If there is a match, I'm going to see a pane that shows me the other fields of that Power BI data set. Cool. So we've got that. What else? What else? Data set discovery, certified data set, Power BI, we cannot show this because they're not available. Deployment pipelines. I think that's it. That should be good enough for short demo. Paco, are you ready? Are you ready, Paco?
I am.
I am, because I'm
finding
about.
the
Unless, do you guys have any? Actually, let me see the chat window. Sorry for missing this. I gotta get more discipline. All right, let's see what we got here. Check out this any internship to get your foot in the door. Yep, I think that's a good tips. Internship, okay. Sometimes it's not only for students. Okay, thank you. All right, so there are no questions. Anything? Any questions for showed you so far? These demos.
I do have a question. This is John.
Hey, John.
Hey, do you know on that feature where you showed using the Power BI data sets in Excel?
Yes.
Do you know, would that work in conjunction with Power Query? So let's say, what if the data source has more rows than Excel can handle?
Are you talking about there are two features that I showed. The first one was how to get pivot table, and the second one was this certified data
Yeah.
type here.
Yeah, the data set. Yeah, the second one.
Oh, that's a very good question, John. So the question is, all right, maybe I went and said, okay, this is going to be Excel certified data set. I mark it in Power BI, so now it shows here. So the way I understood this feature, you won't be able to browse that data set. You just be able to do a lookup. So as I showed you, I tried to show you, you actually go in Excel and mark these customers that actually they're just type, and then you individually click each customer. So at this point, the size of the data set actually really doesn't matter because we don't actually download the whole thing, but it will matter if I do the other thing, which is, remember that my first demo was actually creating a pivot table.
Yeah.
So if I, let's say, go all the way down, have lots of customers, then Excel won't be able to show it because it has a limit of 1 million rows, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If that's a good thing to do, I don't know, probably not. But, if I do a drill through, actually, where this is going to get you also, John, is when you do a drill through, like you double click on a cell as I showed you. As you can see here, by default, we return the first 1,000 rows, which actually you can override. You can go to the connections. Actually, this is a connection setting on the Excel connection to Power BI. You can actually say, oh, I really actually want to increase this. I want to make it, so somewhere here, we should have a setting for it. I don't see it. Maybe you can override, maybe not. But if that actually gets very large, Excel will refuse to load it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I asked the question is I do have a situation where I'm working with a client, and some users are going to use Power BI and some users are going to use Excel for different purposes. But I have to essentially recreate the data set in both places because it's joining multiple tables.
Maybe you can ping me offline, give you a little tip about this scenario, how we can handle it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right, Praco, it's all yours.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Theo, for having me here. I've been attending this user group meeting since 2014, and I think it's a great place for learning about Power BI and also for meeting people related to the Microsoft Data Platform.
Thank you.
I keep looking forward when we are able to go back to the office so we can have pizza and side conversations. Good. So I'm checking everything is working. Let me see. So you should see my screen, Lucient, AI, ML, and Power BI. Is that correct?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off my camera so that way we make sure I'm able to use all the bandwidth. And uh, let's get started. So this is the first time I'm delivering this session, so I'm sure I'm gonna run into issues, but let's do our best. Hopefully, all the demos are going to work. Hold on a second. I want to make sure I see. There we go. Okay, so this is AI, ML, and Power BI. My name is Paco Gonzalez. I'm Lucient North America CEO and I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP. I specialize in building solutions for business intelligence and analytics, and also machine learning and artificial intelligence. So this session is a great fit for me because I do a lot of reporting, but I also do a lot of AI and machine learning. You can contact me at pgonzalez@lucient.com. I will copy and paste this on the chat window later. So in case you have any questions or you need to contact me, that is my email. So as I said before, I work for Lucient, and Lucient has been in business for 18 years now. We were Solid Quality Learning, then we were SolidQ because Solid Quality Learning was a big name, and sometimes it didn't fit in the forms we were filing. So we decided to go for something shorter that was SolidQ, and now we have rebranded the whole organization to Lucient. So it's a more powerful name and branding for our business here in North America. So what we do is data management, SQL Server 24/7 support, upgrades, migrations, platform modernization, and consolidation. We do business intelligence analytics. That is some of what I will be showing today. And we also do advanced analytics. That means dealing with unstructured data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So that's a little bit more about us. You probably knew SolidQ, so we're now Lucient. And let's start with this presentation. So today we're going to see an overview of Power BI, AI, and ML working together. So this is all about what we can do within Power BI for machine learning and AI. So first, we're going to see a quick overview of the different features, and then we're going to switch to where we are able to use AI and machine learning. So we're going to be covering machine learning and AI in Power Query, in Power BI Desktop, and in the Power BI service. So let's take a look at where we have machine learning and AI. And in this slide here, we have it by role: end user, analyst, and data scientist. So end users are using AI visualizations like key influencers or decomposition trees. They're also using natural language in Q&A. Then if we move to analysts, they may be using cognitive services for key phrase extraction, for tone analysis, and they may create their machine learning models and explore the predictions that we get out of machine learning models. And then if you are a data scientist, you're going to be using machine learning, Azure Machine Learning Studio within Power BI, and the integration with R or Python. So there is lots of machine learning and AI within Power BI for the different personas and roles that we have at organizations. If we think about features, here I have a good summary of features. So in Power Query, we have integrations with R and Python as a source, as a transformation, and then once we are in Power BI Desktop as a visual. We also have integration with Azure Machine Learning and Cognitive Services. And in order to have this integration with Azure Machine Learning and Cognitive Services, we need to have premium. We can also use Azure Cognitive Services consuming the API uh, by using the scripting language M inside Power Query. Uh, and in this case, we don't need premium, but if we're using it without scripting in M, then we need premium. Then once we're in Power BI Desktop, we have the R and Python visuals. We have the analytics lines in different visuals. We have custom visuals we can get from the gallery related to machine learning and AI. We have the Q&A, we have the key influencer, and the composition tree. So we have a lot of things and features that are coming out of AI and ML. And it's my understanding that this list is going to keep growing since we're going to see even more machine learning and AI. But the truth is that at this point, we are in a really good position because Power BI has got lots of machine learning and AI. Then once we're in the Power BI service, we have Q&A, and that is for asking questions about our data. We have quick insights for Power BI service discovering insights out of our data by itself. We have integration with cognitive services. And then we have a great new feature. It's been out there for a while now that is called Auto Machine Learning, Auto ML, and it makes it very, very easy to do basic machine learning and advanced machine learning within data flows. We also have support for Azure Machine Learning. So if we're doing machine learning with Azure Machine Learning Studio, it's very easy to integrate using data flows. Cognitive Services, AutoML, and Azure Machine Learning in the Power BI service is part of Premium. So the truth is that Microsoft Data Platform right now, it's very powerful because we have Synapse for dealing with unstructured data. We have Power BI for reporting and analytics, and we have Azure Machine Learning Studio. And the three of them working together make it a great offering for within the Microsoft Data Platform. So I don't have a slide with the three working together, but I strongly believe that right now we are in a really good place. I'm sure that Theo remembers back 5 or 6 years ago when we were still working with reporting services and all the other vendors were doing much better. This is really good times at this point if you are with the Microsoft Data Platform because we got a great offering. So let's keep moving. So right now we're going to switch to Power Query, and in Power Query we can use R or Python as a source. So right here in this screen, I'm using my mouse. You see R or Python as a script. So if you have a script for connecting to data, that is something that you are able to use in Power Query. You also have Python and R scripts as a transformation. So as Power Query steps. So if for some reason you have a clustering algorithm or some type of cleaning script that is already in R or Python, you're going to be able to use it in Power Query. You also have support for text analytics and vision that is coming from Cognitive Services. You need a premium subscription, and you can also integrate with Azure Machine Learning. So you see it right here at the top right. And this is great for doing tone analysis, key phrase extraction, and language detection. For vision, is great for getting some better understanding of images, like how many people is in the picture. Are they male or female? Are they smiling? How old are they? So you get to learn a lot about the pictures that you may have at your organization. And then is integration with Azure Machine Learning, and this is very, very powerful. I really like Azure Machine Learning Studio, and having the option of integrating with Power BI makes it a really powerful offering. So let's see some screen captures about text analytics. So very easy to use from Power Query in Power BI Desktop. So you pretty much click on text analytics and then use the detect language or extract key phrase or score sentiment. And then you provide the text field and the language you are working with, and that is optional. And also you provide your premium capacity for this to run. I'm not going to say run, I'm going to say for licensing purposes. And then you get that result out of this wizard that you get in Power Query and Power BI Desktop. If for some reason you don't have premium, but you still need to use cognitive services, you can go ahead and use M scripting in Power Query to connect to cognitive services. So I'm gonna go and do a quick demo of some of these features, so you get to see some of it in action. So let me check if everything is working, and it looks like yes. So I'm gonna switch to first to Power Query in an R transformation. So in here, what I have is a scatter chart, and this scatter chart has got clusters, cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, and cluster 4 for income and life expectancy. So we're using clustering out of an R script, and it detected cluster 1 right here, cluster 2, cluster 3, and cluster 4. And if I go to transform data, and here is my Power Query window, I can see that this is my source data, and my source data, hold on a second, my source data doesn't have any clusters, and then I have a run R script step. If I go here, I have the R script that I did copy and paste. You may get it from RStudio. You have done this scripting in your preferred software for R. And what this is doing is k-means for clustering. So after this step, the result is that we get 4 clusters, and each of the rows I've got is assigned to one of the clusters. So in here, we have the visual with, this is a standard visual coming out of the box visual coming from Power BI. It's a scatter chart, but I'm using the column cluster to visualize it on the chart. So this is an R script as a transformation in Power Query. So that was the first demo I wanted to do. I don't know if there are any questions. You can also ask questions at the end. So I'm gonna close this, and now I'm gonna switch to Power Query with cognitive services. So for Power Query with cognitive services, I have this Power BI report that is got a custom visual for a cloud of words. And let me go to Power Query, so I'll show you what we're doing here. So in this case, what we have is, let's first do sentiment analysis. And what we have is some reviews, that is column 9, about a specific product. So in this case, we are creating a column with all of the feedback. And what we want to do is to get the score. So right now in here, I have those steps, but I'm going to remove these steps. So we do it from scratch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do text analytics out of this field right here. So what I'll do is text analytics. And in this case, I'm going to do text analytics for sentiment. This is taking some time, but I'm going to do text analytics for sentiment. It detected the text field, and I'm using my premium capacity right here. So you need to have this premium capacity if you're using text analytics. Now I say OK, and the outcome is the score, and here is the score. The score is a number between 0 and 1, and 1 is a very positive tone and sentiment. 0 is very negative tone. If I go to this other, any questions so far? No?
No questions in the chat window.
Okay.
Actually, hold on a second. Now we've got some streaming in. Certification. Actually, this is for a different topic. Never mind. Please go back.
Okay, good. Let me check one thing real quick.
Paco, I got a quick question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I do the same thing without premium capacity?
So the answer is yes, but you're not gonna be using this. Okay, what you're gonna do is use an M script to connect to the API directly. Okay, so I'll show you that right now. I was not gonna show you, but I'll do it. So another way of doing this is, and here I have the chart. So I have the key phrases, and here I have the tone by topic. This is some charts out of the results of what we were doing. I'm gonna close this, and let me open another one I've got. And it's right here, perfect. So here I have same thing, but if I go to transform data, in this case, I'm not using the text analytics right here. What I'm doing is I'm going to advanced editor, and I'm using my own M scripting to connect to cognitive services using my key. Okay. So in this case, you don't need premium. Okay. What you need to have is a key for the API. So now your question is, how much is that? Well, I think I have it on the slides. You have 5,000 transactions per month. See it right here? Okay. So that is kind of free. It's not free, but kind of free.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so any other questions? Perfect. Let's keep moving. So let me start from here, full screen. So let's see some AI and machine learning in Power BI desktop. So some of the charts have the analytics pane, and in the analytics pane, we can do constant line, mean, max, average, and median. So this is not machine learning or AI, but is some statistics. You can also combine a series, and that is sometimes helpful. And you can have the percentile, and you can have forecasting, and this is using time series. So this is some out of the box statistics that you have by going to the analytics pane. In Power BI Desktop, once you are in the reporting layer, you have Python and R visuals, and you can integrate these Pythons and R visuals in your reports. In order to have R in Power BI Desktop, this is all already in the Power BI service, but in Power BI Desktop, you need to install R in your computer. If you go to Power BI Desktop options R scripting, you have how to install R, and we'll later see that is pretty much the same with Python. So here in the Power BI reporting layer, we can drag and drop the R visual, and we drag and drop the script in the scripting area. Okay, so later I will show you a sample of how to use an R script in the Power BI desktop reporting layer. Some of the limitations we have with R is that data size is going to be less than 150,000 rows. It timeouts after 5 minutes. We don't want to give the developer, the report consumer, a really bad experience. So anything that takes more than a few seconds, in my opinion, is already too much. But you get a timeout after 5 minutes in case you're good having your users to wait for some time. These charts don't interact with other visuals, and this is somehow an issue. And some drill through and advanced features may not work. So do your testing. I believe this integration is great, but there are some limitations. When we're working with Python and in Power BI, we need to install Python. And again, if you go to Power BI Desktop and Options, you have the how to install Python. So that way, it makes it very simple for you to run this step by step and have Python installed in your desktop. So that way, Power BI Desktop can use Python and the integration is going to work. And once you're in the Power BI Desktop report layer, you can drag and drop the Python visual into your report page, and then copy and paste your script, so that way you'll get whatever visual you're doing. In here, you see an example of a Python visual, and this is coming out of a Python script, and you have it in the Power BI Desktop report layer. Okay, so I'll be showing that in a second. And what else do we have in Power BI Desktop? Well, there are some custom visuals that you can get from the Power BI gallery, the marketplace, and these also have some AI and machine learning. So do your browsing, learn about the different visuals available. And here you have two samples. One of them is the correlation plot from Microsoft. And this is something you can install in Power BI Desktop and then work with it by doing drag and drop and publish to the Power BI service. Other very interesting visuals when you're working with machine learning and in Power BI is the ARIMA, and this is an autoregressive moving average. And I believe if you're doing forecasting, this is one of the best forecasting techniques that are more useful. If you are importing visuals, as I was mentioning before, here you have the correlation plot, and you can try to correlate here your sales with your academic level, with your occupation, and have 3 dimensions by using colors. So sometimes if you are dealing with a specific problem and you are planning to do some R or Python scripting, uh, you can go ahead and check the gallery just in case there is already an algorithm, a visual that you can use in your reports. Some other out of the box machine learning and AI that we've got. One of them is Q&A. You're probably very familiar with Q&A because it's been out there for a long time. We also have it here in Power BI Desktop, and it can help you create visuals and charts out of questions that you are asking to Q&A. We also have key influencers and the composition tree, and we're going to see some samples of when to use this. For Q&A, what you do is pretty much you drag and drop, and then you're going to have some suggestions from Q&A about some questions you are able to ask. But anyway, my suggestion is that you drag and drop the Q&A visual and you start exploring the suggestions and asking questions. Here you have a quick overview of how to use pretty much a drag and drop and start using the suggestions or asking questions. So when you start typing, you have IntelliSense, and it's doing suggestions about your measures in your fact table and your dimension attributes and dimension members in your dimensions. Good thing is that this is dynamically changing as you type, so it can really help you do data exploration. And in most cases, you can transform the Q&A visual into a standard visual. So the truth is that Power BI, one of the good things we've got is that we are empowering the business users by providing them with a reporting tool that is very easy to use because it's codeless. So you are pretty much doing drag and drop and asking questions, and then you are probably going to be able to finish your report without much coding or without setting different properties. So it's all about you asking questions and building the right report. Some other visuals we have the composition tree. And as you can see here, this is a GIF, it's an animation. And you can browse your sales by different categories or countries or your different dimension attributes by using the decomposition tree. So this is one of the visuals that we have been working with in AI ML for a long time, and now we have it in Power BI. We also have key influencers, and this is also coming from machine learning, and this is able to tell us what are the key influencers for a specific attribute. And then it provides you with some insights so you can understand more about your data. Good. So I wanted to go fast with the slides so we can see a real demo, even though these slides are self-explanatory. But let's see some real stuff by using Power BI. So let's start with key influencers. This is one of the visuals I like the most. So I can go here, drag and drop key influencers is right there, right here. And then say, I want to analyze, and I'm gonna get the customer. I'm gonna analyze house ownership. So, what are the key influencers for someone buying a house? So I'm gonna drag and drop gender. I'm gonna drag and drop number of cars, yearly income, occupation, and if you are single or married. And what is key influencers telling us? Well, pretty much what is telling us is that being single or married is the top key influencer for owning a house. So it looks like you're not going to buy a house until you marry. Once you marry, you buy a house. So we were able to detect the key influencer here. Then you have other key influencers like yearly income over 130 or occupation or number of cars. But we can clearly say that being married is the most important attribute for being the owner of a house. So you're probably renting until you marry, then you buy a house. This chart also comes with some other information, but I'm not gonna go into the details for this. What else do we got? We were also talking about the composition tree. So this is a really cool chart for browsing data. So I can go and say, well, this is my cells. I want to see my cells by male or female. And looks like I pretty much sell about the same to male or female. So my product is kind of like gender agnostic. Uh, then, well, instead of choosing gender, I want to go and split by the one that has got a higher value of the split. And looks like most of my cells are for computers instead of component, accessories, and so on. So I hope that for many years, computers are still a big thing because else I will need to pivot into something different. And and we've learned a lot from COVID. We gotta be ready for pivoting and having different services. So now I'm gonna switch for computers into the next attribute, and looks like in this case is male or female. Nothing big here. And then it's about the different countries, and this is good. We're doing business in many different countries, and in each of these countries we have a good amount of business in proportion to the population. And then if we look to age range, it looks like we are mostly selling to people that is over 30 years old. So we don't sell that much to people younger than 30. So this is the composition tree, and I think it's a really good visual for you to do data exploration. Okay, before talking about the composition trees and key influencers, we were talking about using R or Python. And here you got two different scripts, two different visuals. One is using an R visual and the other one is using a Python visual. For the R visual, here is the script. So this is a very simple script that is using ggplot to uh, to display this this plot right here. In this case, this is the same, but with Python. So this is the Python script, and uh, in this case, uh, we are using the matplotlib in Python to show this specific visual. Okay, so this is Python and R. in Power BI Desktop as visuals. Then, as we were talking before, on the different visuals, you have the analytics pane right here. You have the Q&A for asking questions like top customer by city, or type your own question here, and Q&A is going to work as expected. I am really sure that you've used this before. So let's keep moving since we're going to see AI and ML in the Power BI service. So let's go back to the presentation. Any questions so far?
No questions in the chat window, Paco?
Okay, excellent. All right, so let's keep moving. Now we're going to switch to the Power BI service. So in the Power BI service, we have Q&A, and we've been working with Q&A for a long time, and we have Q&A in dashboards. And since the Power BI service experience is also in your tablet and your phone and the browser, you can not only type the questions, but you can speak to your dashboards. So from my cell phone, I can go and say, can you compare this year's sales with the previous year for the stores in California, since there were some fires in California this year, and I want to know what is the impact in terms of year to date. And I can ask that question using my voice, and I'll get a chart that shows me the response to that question. We also have quick insights, and this is something you've seen also before because it's been in the Power BI service for a long time. And what quick insight does is Azure machine learning working with your data set to create some interesting charts for you. So this is some of the charts that you can get out of quick insights, and it's very helpful when you have a data set, you upload the data set, and then you do quick insights and you get 15, 20 charts about your data. So you don't need to build any reports. I do it every time I have a new data set that I don't know much about it. I upload it to the Power BI service, and then I see the result of quick insights. So I will probably, well, I may demo this if we have time, but I want to jump into AI and ML in data flows. So when we are in data flows, we can go and have AI insights. And AI insights is about cognitive services and AutoML. So we'll see it in action, but I can use AI insights for cognitive services and AutoML models that I have deployed in data flows. So we're going to first work with cognitive services, and we'll do the same thing we were doing in Power BI Desktop, but now in the data flow. We are first going to detect the language, and later we're going to do the key phrases and tone analysis. Then another thing we can do in data flows is calling an Azure machine learning model, or a model that we created with AutoML. So this AI Insights allows us to do both cognitive services and then query an existing model that could come from AutoML or Azure Machine Learning Studio. I need to fix this slide because it's not very clear, but that is what we are able to do from data flows, and you'll see it in the demo. When we're doing AutoML in data flows, we have some suggestions for machine learning models and the whole machine learning process, like selecting the training and testing data set, training the models, and browsing the models. So AutoML is a very easy way to do machine learning out of a data set in the Power BI service. The demo I have is for TripAdvisor reviews, and we are going to be predicting what the overall attribute is coming from. So we want to know if people is rating our hotels 1 to 5 because of how clean the room is, or the check-in experience, or the different features that they are rating in TripAdvisor. When we will create these models in AutoML, we're going to be using a regression, and we're going to be selecting which attributes we want to use for the regression. Okay, so very easy to use. And once we select which attributes we want to use for the regression, then we are going to specify how much power we want to put into this process. So most of machine learning algorithms can do as many iterations as we want. So it's more about when we want to stop. So we are going to be selecting 5 minutes only, and then we'll see the outcome. When we are doing this process, we're going to have training and testing for the data set. And later, we're going to see a report with the model performance. And we'll see if that model performance is good or bad once we have a model. Once we have a model, we can use that model in a data flow to do predictions. So that is something I'll be showing in the demo I'm going to do right now. Okay, so let's jump into the demo. So now I'm going to be in the service. So let's go to the service. And we are now in the Power BI service. And in this case, I'm going to be using the premium capacity, and I was using the premium capacity out of Power BI embedded resource in my Azure subscription. So right now it's running, and here I am in the Power BI service, and I am in this workspace right here, and we can see the premium icon. So we know that this workspace is a premium workspace. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to data flows, and I'm gonna start from scratch. But later I will be using some of the stuff I already have, because we don't want to wait here for some of these algorithms to process. So first thing I'm going to do is to create a new data flow. So I'm going to go to data flows and say create data flow. And I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new entity out of a blank query. And I do have a blank query ready for us to use. Let me find it. So this is my blank query. And what this is doing is going to blob storage to get some hotel reviews. So I click next, and what this is going to ask me is for a key for connecting to blob storage. And I'm going to say, here is my key. And this is going to bring some data. And what we have is reviews from different hotels in North America. And my understanding is that I have the review test. So here is my reviews. So what I will do is I'm gonna use that field for AI insights in data flows. So I click here, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do language detection. Let me check if everything is working. Uh, Everything is working good. So I'm gonna go and say cognitive services, and I'm gonna say detect language for reviews text. I'm gonna say apply, and this is gonna ask me for the blob storage key again. So here it is. Okay, and there we go. And here I have the language. And what this is saying is that the language is English, and the ISO code is EN. So let me rename this. It doesn't look that long. Okay, and now I have the language for my reviews. I'm gonna click in AI Insights again, and now I'm gonna get the let's get the score. So I'm gonna use reviews and text, and I'm gonna use the language English. So I say apply, I click save and close. Is this working? There we go. It is working. And here I have the score. Remember, this is a number between 0 and 1. So I can click save and close, and this is my data flow. And out of this data flow, I can have a data set and build a report out of the data set. So I'm gonna say Paco test hotel reviews 2. And this is my data flow. I'm not going to do anything with it, but I'm gonna show you a report that is using a similar data flow. So if I go to this Power BI report, what I have is a map with all the different hotels in the country that we have reviews for, and the score. And I have bad, good, very good. So I can go and say, well, I'm gonna go to California. We know that in San Francisco, hotels are very expensive, and they're not really nice. So for example, I can go and click on this one, and the review we get is no breakfast, no fridge, ice machine is broken. Okay. So in this case, this report here with the bad, good, very good is coming from key phrase and tone analysis. So we were able to connect to blob storage using a data flow, then get the key phrases and the tone using cognitive services in a data flow, have that structured data. So we were able to move from unstructured text analytics to structured data, and then have it in a chart right here in this map. So this is really cool. And sometimes people is asking me, Why Power BI? Well, one of the reasons why Power BI is a leader is because we have integration with Azure, and Azure services are really cool, like cognitive services right here for doing speech, vision, or text analytics. Good. Any questions with this report? Checking the chat window. No questions. Okay.
No questions in the chat window, Paco.
Thank you. Good. Well, let's keep moving and go to AutoML now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my workspace, and I'm gonna go to data flows. And in this case, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna create a data flow out of a blank query, and I have another script in this case for TripAdvisor. So let me open the script. It's right here. Okay, and I'm gonna say new entity in here. I'm gonna copy this, get this from a blank query, and I'm gonna paste it here. So now we have data for TripAdvisor reviews, and I need to provide my key for the blob storage. I'm going to connect. Let me mute everyone so we don't get any noise. So I mute all. If you want to speak, please unmute yourself. And here is my data set. So what we have is the reviews, and then we have an overall. Then we have a value. So how good was the hotel for the money you paid? Quality of the rooms, location, how clean it was, check-in experience, service experience, and the business service. So we have some feedback from a 1 to 5 scale. And the truth is that we want to understand where this overall column is coming from. Is it coming from how clean the hotel is, the quality of the rooms, the value, the location? So we want to understand how we can predict what the client feedback is going to be for the overall. That way, if we are a hotel, maybe we need to improve the location or the how clean the hotel is for other hotels that we may open in the future. So here is our data, and I'm gonna save and close this data set right now, and I'm going to this is validating. Okay. So hopefully it's not going to take much time. There is not a lot of data here. So there we go. So we have a data flow, and I'm going to call this TripAdvisor 2 and save this. And now I have a entity in my data flow, and I can click here in the brain and do AutoML. I'm going to click this. I'm going to click here, and this is going to be asking me, this is a wizard, so we're going to be doing different steps, and the entity is query, and I want to predict the overall. And I want to predict the overall using a regression. I could use other models for classification. This is a number, so it's binary classification or regression. If it wasn't a number, I could use some other algorithms, but in this case, it's numeric, so it's a regression. I mean, that's a very simple explanation. I don't know if my friend Mark Tabladillo is on the meeting. He's not. Well, since he's not, no issues. We can say whatever we want. Good. So now it's asking me, what fields should the model be working on to predict the overall? And row ID doesn't make sense. Value, rooms, location, cleanliness, check-in, service, and business service makes sense. That's what we want to work with. So we're going to try to predict the overall by looking into these other fields. I say next, and now it's asking me how much computer power do you want to put into this? And I want to go to the minimum, so 5 minutes. And I'm going to say this is TripAdvisor 2. So I'm going to say save and train. And what this is doing behind the scenes is creating the testing, the training, and training the model, and then testing the model and creating a report for me with the performance. So I don't think there is much I can do right now. If I go here, I see the query, I see the training, I see the testing. And at this point, what is going on is that this AutoML model is being processed. This is going to take 5-7 minutes, so we're not going to be here waiting for this to finish. So I have a regression report here that is telling us how good the model is doing by showing a percentage for model performance. And then for the testing data set, how were the prediction it made. So for example, in this case, it predicted overall three stars, and the actual was 3.81. So if you're a data scientist, you can spend some time here understanding the performance. This is some of the training details, and you can see the top predictors. So it looks like value was a key indicator for the overall, then service, then room, then location, and looks like cleanliness of the hotel wasn't that important. I don't think this is true, so probably there is some issue with this column right here, or the way we're getting the feedback, because I think if a hotel is not clean, people will complain about it. So I think we should do some research. So this is kind of the out-of-the-box report that we get about the performance of AutoML models. Now, how do we use these models? Well, that is the key piece of this AutoML. If I go to data flows, and I go in here to data flows, I already have a model that is working. So I'm going to use that model for doing predictions. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go and say create data flow, and let me see if I have what I want to show. Sorry. I'm going to create a new entity, and I'm going to use the same query I was using before. So doing a blank query, and here is my query. I don't know if that's the query I want. Yes, this one. I'm going to say next, and it's going to ask me for the key, for my blob storage, I'm going to provide the key, and I'm going to connect to my blob storage. Here is my data, and it's the same data as before. So it's the TripAdvisor reviews with the overall, the value, the rooms, the location, and the how clean it is, and so on. Now I'm gonna click in AI Insights, and now instead of doing cognitive services as I was doing before, I'm gonna use an auto ML model that I created before. So it's right here, Power BI machine learning, and here is the model that that we created. So it's here. That's great. So it's gonna take all the columns from my existing data set and get the overall. So right now, I need to configure this connection again. This is the key. So right now, what it's doing is using the AutoML model to predict the overall. We're gonna click continue, and we're gonna see this thing working. So it's working right now. And we're gonna see the data. It's making the predictions. You can see CPU usage. And for every row in my data set is predicting the overall. So this is consuming the AutoML model, and the result of this is going to have that extra column. So this is done, great news, and this is overall real, and this is the overall regression result. So if we put the two of them together, right there, we can see how the model did compared to the result. So the real was 4, predicted was 4.3. Real is predicted was 3.87. Real was 5, predicted is 4.7. So what happened? What happened is that we created a model with AutoML, and then in a data flow, we were using AI Insights to predict, to query that model to get predictions. So think about, I don't know, you want to get a report of who is going to leave your service, or who to call, or who is going to move from a free subscription to a premium subscription. You create a model, you train the model, and then every time you refresh your data with new data, or maybe your data was updated, you do a prediction query, like I was doing here, to get the regression result. So what can I say? It could not be easier right now to do machine learning in the Power BI service. This is really, really cool. It looks like a toy, very easy to use, but it's very powerful. And the algorithms are standards in the industry. So you can really build enterprise solutions on top of AutoML in Power BI. Good. Any questions with this demo I did?
No questions on in the chat window. I guess they're holding until the end, Taco. You're gonna have an explosion of questions, probably at the end.
We'll see. Okay. All right. So let's finish with the slides, and I'll take some questions if you have them. So that was the Power BI service coming soon. Theo was mentioning smart narratives because we have them in preview and you've seen them. And we're also going to have anomaly detection very soon. So these two are also coming from AI and machine learning. This is some of the features we've seen. R and Python as a source and as a transformation and as a visual. Then cognitive services using an M script, using consuming cognitive services in Power BI Desktop, in Power Query, or consuming cognitive services in the Power BI service. Also, we were able to create an auto ML model. We processed, we published it, and then we were consuming the auto ML model using a data flow. So that is also very, very powerful. So this is some of the features that we have for AI and machine learning and Power BI working together. So hope you like this presentation. I wanted to make very simple, and I also wanted to have some demos so you get to see it in action. Now, yeah, again, for this demo, I was using premium capacity, and the way I was using it is by having Power BI embedded, so I can start and stop it as I need it, so I don't need to pay for the monthly premium license. So what I do is I have a Power BI embedded capacity associated with workspace. And that way I'm doing this demo without having a premium license. So that may be very useful for you in case you're not 100% ready for premium.
We have a question, Paco. There were a few comments that they like the presentation very much. Thank you so much. I hope you can share the slides. You could just send it to me. That'll be awesome, so we can put it on the website. But there is a question. Do you see many business users excited about using things like auto ML?
Well,
Do you see excitement? Yeah.
excitement. Well, what I'll say is that power users, the citizen developers, are here to stay, and we need to provide them with codeless tools so they can do their work. AutoML, think about marketing people, uh, loading data from blob storage into using a data flow, consuming cognitive services to get the feedback. That is a very powerful use case. So my answer is yes, I see citizen developers getting better and better. And this is still perfect for developers like that are doing some serious data science because it's very easy to move it to production. So you were able to understand your problem, build a model, and now it's very simple to have it in production. So every time you refresh your data, it is right there using the model. So very powerful offering here. That's what I see.
Yep. Any other questions for Paco? And Paco, you did not show the easiest demo, which actually happens to my favorite machine learning feature. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna preempt your
Go ahead.
sharing session, just
Okay.
to leave the audience with something like another easy machine learning tidbit here. Okay. While I'm doing this, there is a question: alternatives. I lost my chat window somewhere here. Alternatives for premium capacity Can you talk a bit more? Maybe you can talk a little bit about the embedded capacity thing that you're using, because it allows you to test all Power BI premium features without having to spend $5,000 per month, right, Paco? So maybe you can talk a little bit
Yes,
about
so
that.
as you were mentioning before, there is some licensing options coming very soon. But in the meantime, something I use in proof of concepts for our clients is by having Power BI embedded. And this is something you can start and pause anytime you want. So it doesn't cost you as much. Power BI embedded starts at $1 per hour, so $720 per month. Plus, you can stop and start it. So very convenient.
Right. And just quick little demo here that I want to show my favorite actually ML feature. Every time I show it to business users, they actually love it, because most of them spend their time on exception analysis to figure out why there is an outlier, what's going on in there. So what we have, this feature that Paco was talking about, quick insights, which is in Power BI service. We also have it inside the report level. So imagine you've got a chart like that, bar chart, and there is some kind of a spike, either increase or decrease. You can probably spend your entire day figuring out, slicing and dicing in different ways to figure out what's going on there. But thanks to machine learning, what you can do is just right click the bar and do analyze, explain the increase. So how simple this could be, right? Can it be any simpler? And then what do we get? We get a bunch of reports auto-generated by Power BI that tends to explain why we have increase. And as we can see, this is a waterfall chart that basically tells you that, well, increase is the green one, so most of the increase is here, and it gives you the narrative that this products actually had the largest increase among products, right? Then we scroll down and there are some additional. So instead of you slicing and dicing, you can let Power BI do the work for you. And if you like particular visual, you can actually just add it to your report conveniently. You can also visualize it in scatter and some other visualization options. The default is waterfall charts. I don't have the option to add it to the report because this report is in read-only mode. But if I have went into the edit mode and did the same, then I would be able actually to click a little icon to add it to the report. So another ML implementation.
Very
Cool.
cool. It is.
Yes, alternate. Okay, Paco mentioned embedded. Okay. Anything else, guys, to wrap this up? Any questions? Well, I guess thank you so much for staying with us tonight. I hope you learn a lot. And I guess I'll talk to you at least in November 2nd, where we talk about performance optimization in Power BI. Paco, there are some great feedback, great examples. Thank you so much. I really appreciate presenting tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. I'll pause the recording once it's done, which should be probably in the next hour or so. See you next month. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, thanks.